my journey to Islam started way, way long before that even. I was born and raised in Romania, Eastern Europe, in a very mixed Christian family. It was Orthodox, it was Catholic, it was Unitarian. I think my question started with some of the discussions that I would have with my grandfather and my grandmother, who were, who lived in Transylvania and were very, very, well, my grandmother anyway, she was a very staunch Christian, but my grandfather was Unitarian. And I remember the first question that popped into my mind was very vivid. I was very young, maybe around 7 years old. And we're taking a bus going to my aunt's. And my grandfather pointed out his church. And because I was a very avid churchgoer with my grandma, I noticed that his church didn't have a cross. So I said, "Oh, what's going on? Why don't you have a cross? Like, come on, I thought you're a Christian." He's like, "No, we're not like that. We don't believe in that. It's not the same. We're Unitarians. There's only one God, all that." And my grandma was like, "Shut up, don't tell him anything. He's going to be a priest. Don't, boggle his mind with all these nonsense, of your church. He's going to be a priest, a Catholic priest, and this and that." So that was one of my first things. And I always questioned and wondered about that. And fast forwarding to things like I was very church going, very much into the Bible, a Bible thumper, you can say. This is my Bible. I've had this for about 20 years now. This is the King James version, the red letter Bible, and you can see like the amount of research, and there's notes in it, and at the back there's all kinds of notes that I've done. So I've done a lot of research on the Bible. This is early after converting to Islam, but the research started a long time ago. But I've always had these questions. The main question was about the Trinity and Jesus. I think it's just something that every Christian has, because it's against the fitra to believe in it. It is against the natural disposition that God has created in us to believe in him only as one, unique. And that's why you find that, especially with Christians and others, that's the main topic, the main story comes from that. I always thought about why this doesn't make sense. It's not even only that it doesn't make sense, or that the scriptures don't actually, give evidence on it. It's more about your fitra, your natural inclination, the way God created you, cannot accept it. It's like it doesn't work. While monotheism or tawheed is like a glove fit. You know what I mean? It's perfect, right? So anyway, fast forward, I moved to Canada 1998, and that's where for the first time I've actually met Muslims. And the image of the Muslims that I've been taught, which was terrorist, Turkish, Tatar, worshipping some strange god called Allah, okay? All that didn't match. It didn't match my experience. I was in a predominantly Muslim school full of immigrants, people from Somalia, from Lebanon, from Afghanistan, from everywhere in the Muslim world. I was a minority. I was myself and a couple of other white guys, we were the minority. There was literally probably you could count us on a finger, on a hand, how many white guys were in that school. But it was great because I did find another white guy who was Bosnian. He looked kind of like me, even whiter than me, actually. And I was like, wait a second, blue eyes, and I was like, bro, how are you Muslim? And then he explained to me in the history, and I was like, wow, I didn't know. I didn't know that there's Muslims in my own country, in Romania. So with time, obviously, I was trying to see why this contradiction of what I was taught, a lot of hatred, a lot of misinformation, versus what this man actually portrays and what he actually implements in his life, his own family, his brother, people around, other people from, so okay, I could say that Bosnia is a culture, but then what about Lebanese guys are also kind of like that? And then the Somalians are also like that. I was really close to the Somalians as well. I was like, wait a second, what is it that unites these people, even though they're different colors, different backgrounds, different languages? And I was like, oh man, this universal faith is something deeper than culture. You know what I mean? So that's how the spiritual quest started. It was academic, of course, just always comparing, having debates, discussions, till it went on to becoming a debate between me and myself and God. When I was reading the Quran, it was literally like, I have all these questions in my mind, and then the Quran would just like answer them when I would read it. You know, it was really spiritual. It was something that, you know, I've seen other people having it, but definitely it was something that was personal. But it was also academic. It's not like, oh, I just had a dream and all of a sudden, you know, I feel like I'm going to be a Muslim. No, it was really spiritual, but academic, evidence-based. It was amazing. All right. So there was different things that happened, but push comes to shove, it led me to having a dream one night. It was about dying and being stabbed. And then it really woke me up. Because I was a student in psychology at the time, and I was really into dream theory, and I really, you know, also the cultural background, Romanian superstitions, and I was like, man, what if something's going to happen? What if I will die? What if like my time is up? Have I really found God? Do I really know the truth? And it was a big war, and I think a lot of young men are in that war where it's kind of like, okay, I don't really want to commit. Yeah, I might know this is true, but I don't want to, like, you know, not live my life and all these things, right? So I kind of like, it was a bit of a contradiction. It was a bit of a war between myself and the truth. But I think that dream kind of made it for me. And I was like, you know what, man, like this life's not worth it. I've gone through so many different problems in my life in terms of close calls to dying. Like I've had so many accidents as a child. I fell from a tree. I got so many things. I got a gun pointed in my head. There was so many. I can't even get into how many broken bones and accidents, so many close calls of dying. And I said, what if this one's going to be it? All of this, I kind of like cheated death, let's say, all these times. And now, what if this one's going to be it? And I said, no way, I can't risk it. I need to be straight with God. And alhamdulillah, I called my friend, and it was it was an amazing reaction for him, because he was saying that I used to pray for you so much that God shows you the truth, you know. And may Allah bless him, because even though we did a lot of nonsense and naughty things together, I wasn't a good influence on him. He always prayed. He always prayed. You know what I mean? And he always said that this is like my way back to God. And I know that what I'm doing is wrong. And I know I'm going to change. And that's what really also got me, because seeing him pray wherever we were, like literally we could be in a club, bro, and like it's like, oh, it's time to pray, you know, it's Isha time, right? It was like, let's say in the summer when Isha's like really late, like 10:30, 11, he would just like pop up out of the club and like, oh, Gabe, let's go. Come on, you got to watch me, you know? And I'll go in the back alley, bro, and he would just put his jacket down and pray. And I'm looking at him like, man, look at this guy's dedication, you know? And I remember because again, I was a Bible thumper. I knew the Bible, and I remember that Jesus prayed like that. And what, you know, even though we know these things, it doesn't hit you till one point in your life where you're kind of like, wait a second, I never thought about that. But Jesus puts his head on the ground when he prays. And this guy is Muslim, and what's going on, right? And that led to so many questions, to the realization, well, Jesus is definitely a Muslim. Okay, and that's exactly what it is. Why does he have a beard? Why did he circumcise himself? Why did he not eat pork? Why did this? Why did no people are like, no, but he was Jewish. I'm like, well, he was ethnically, you can say Jew, but he was in concept a submitter to the will of God, which means Islam. There's no contradiction between that. And I was like, wow, I was blown away.